Listen up, Gabriella Gabby Goldhinge. I, along with everyone else in the room, need you to shut your mouth and halt your breath at this very moment. We need you to stop trying to constantly alienate Yinyang from the League and everyone else around them, despite their current expulsion for just one fraction of a second. I thought you and your little group would have stopped with your relentless mockery the very moment I revoked their privilege to even become magical objects. But no, you all barely escaped death from the worst entity of all, and are back to your ridiculously rude remarks. Gabriella, or more well known as Gaty, you deranged, apathetic, pessimistic, no life-having bully. Ever since Iris formed this league, we already knew that you would react poorly against Yinyang's presence. Why? Solely for the fact that they happened to be demons, and that the numbered entity you faced happened to be one herself too. You saw their horns, their tail, their wings, and their cloak, and immediately assumed them to be an entity in disguise. And despite their explanation, you still refused to believe them, and during your battle in the spiritual realm, convinced Lex and Tori, better known as Lightning and Teardrop, to assume the same. I understand that you suffered from the numbered entity. I understand that you were erased from existence for more than a year, and had to witness all of your friends fight to save themselves. But do you seriously believe that this demon symbol hybrid, who you haven't even known for a whole month, could also turn around and do the same? Gabriella Goldhinge, that is an utterly ridiculous mindset to have. You never even took 1 minute out of your day to sit and bond with them. You distanced yourself and stuck to your negative thoughts. And then earlier this week, I saw just how much your distaste for them shined. You yelled. You demanded them to confess what they had done directly to me, and celebrated the moment I took their diamonds and left. You may have been right about violating the top rule, but the rest of your behavior is inexcusable. And now, to follow this up, I must mention the thing you had just said. Who cares? They're unworthy now. Do you even realize how abhorrently ignorant those phrases are? Yinyang went out of their way to join Test Tube in their sad, depressed state, solely for the sake of saving you from Kalevala. She fought the assistants off while they took the members and led them to safety. But you still had the nerve, the utter audacity, to brush aside their actions simply because of their appearance. Gabriella, there's no excuse for that. Do you know what they could have done instead? They could have stayed in their room, alone to bed rot. They could have left Test Tube to do this already dangerous mission on her own, and that alone could have had disastrous effects. They had accepted their punishment and had no interest in trying to get themselves back into this league. But they still gathered the motivation they needed to save your life. You haven't even uttered one thank you once revived. Not to Yinyang and not even to Test Tube. You just stayed there with your negative mindset. And now, let's touch upon another thing you spit out of your vulgar mouth. Calling Test Tube a weird spirit friend? Are you even hearing yourself right now? Yes, Test Tube may be a spirit. She may be unworthy at the moment, but that doesn't give you the right to dumb down how she also took the time out of her already miserable and lonely week to save you and your league. Similar to Yinyang's depressed state, she became a social pariah. She went through teasing, name-calling, charges from the mortal orange juice, and isolation after she had beaten Pencil to a pulp. She had to be supervised by Pixie, better known as Poppy, and not even her partners had the courage to approach her. Not Paintbrush, not light bulb, and most certainly not Fan or her child, Bot. But she got herself up to bring your sad, limp body to safety, even when you likely didn't deserve it. She gave Kalevala a swift punch to the gut and broke the lock that held Sienna, Serafina, and Ivory, better known as Suitcase, Saw, and Ice Cube, hostage, setting them all free with no serious harm. And the single-celled nerve you have to water it all down to a muddied puddle of worthlessness in an attempt to justify keeping Yinyang out of your league. Gabriella, that is beyond your already over-the-top hatred for demons. That is irrational bullying at its core, the textbook definition of bullying. Something I thought you were completely against when you originally called out Brooklyn, or better known as Book, back in Battle for BFDI Episode 13, Return of the Rocket Ship. You are actively going against your own morals, solely for holding on to an incident that happened almost a decade ago in this unknown timeline of our bizarre alternate universe. Gabriella, you absolutely disgust me. I cannot believe what I am hearing. Do you even realize how much of a fool you're making yourself to be right here in the hideout? Do you actually think that everyone else here is agreeing with you? Well, they're not. They haven't agreed with a single opinion you've made ever since you met each other at the bridge. The fact that they're even being forced to listen to your insults and loony theories is embarrassing on its own. They're all just too kind to not tell you off, like how I'm doing at this very moment. If you continue with these crude actions for the rest of this episode, or even go so far as to extend it in the BFDIxII MAGICA series on Wattpad, and AO3, I will have no other option than to expel you from this league too, so you too can know what it's like to feel useless, sad, and utterly miserable. Please, for 1 second of your life, stop insulting Yinyang and now test tube. And for once, allow me, Charly the balance goddess, to decide how to approach this situation with no interruptions, or face the looming consequences yourself.